It's the golden age, and self-deporters are getting a $1,000 bonus. Arizona Congressman Eli Crane will react and bring us inside the negotiations to get President Trump his big, beautiful bill. President Trump has signed an executive order to make medicines we need in America again. We'll discuss how that helps patients and our medical system become more resilient. And Senate Democrats are scuttling a cryptocurrency bill, all while the mockingbird gets the last laugh in Florida. It's all next on the Matt Gaetz Show. Let's do this. We're shaking up Washington, D.C. We're breaking the fever.
You ever watch this guy on television? It's like a machine. He's great. Matt Gaetz.
Self-deportation. It's not just for celebrities anymore. Sure, Rosie O'Donnell scampered off to Ireland. Ellen DeGeneres is relocated to London. Everyone wears sneakers there, so she should feel right at home. Eva Longoria said America is scary, so she's off to Mexico. Leaving the U.S. for Mexico to escape fear is kind of like leaving Sweet Garden for the Golden Corral seeking a dietary strategy. But alas, we even lost Courtney Love to self-deportation. She called the Trump administration frightening and is seeking British citizenship. It's so funny to see these Hollywood types trade Los Angeles chaos for London fog. One is unpredictable, moody, and hard to see through, and the other is bad weather. Self-deportation is an absolutely necessary tool, and thanks to President Trump, it's not for the rich and famous alone anymore. Democrats let around 20 million people into America chaotically, illegally. Rounding all of them up and holding mini trials for each one is not feasible. Today, House Democrats cried due process when trying to railroad DHS Secretary Kristi Noem.
Do you believe the Constitution guarantees due process to everyone in America?
Due process is exactly what this Congress lays out.
Yes or no?
It is,
okay, ma'am, I'll take that as a no.
What due process did Americans get when our communities, hospitals, schools, and jails were overrun by the third world? What due process did taxpayers get when they had to fork over tens of billions of dollars to pay for benefits for illegals? If you broke our laws to enter with some thinly veiled asylum claim, you cannot expect the full complement of our laws to allow you to stay without permission forever. We would hope that following a dominant national election for President Trump, Democrats might come to their senses, work with the right on common sense border security and national security policies. But that has not happened. Instead, Democrats have made their cause du jour the reimportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who has tattoos indicating gang membership, whose own wife was afraid after he beat her bloody, and who in a Tennessee traffic stop appeared to be human trafficking. This is the big thing that they're all worked up about? So if self-deportation is the way to get caravans of migrants heading south, not north, how do we get it done? The Trump administration has taken a carrot and stick approach. It's exemplified in this sponsored messaging from DHS.
President Trump has a clear message for those that are in our country illegally. Leave now. If you don't, we will find you and we will deport you. You will never return.
The carrot is appealing. We've got a self-deportation program right now. I'm not kidding. The U.S. government is literally handing out $1,000 and a plane ticket if you pack your bags and say, adios, America. You've got to admit, this is genius. If you can't chase everyone down, just bribe them to leave. That's some next-level incentive psychology. Trump basically said, you're not in trouble unless you want to be, but if you leave now, you get a prize. There's also a heavy stick. President Trump has deported over 200 Tren de Aragua gang members to Sacat prison in El Salvador. The message was sent loud and clear to criminal gang members remaining in our neighborhoods. Get out now while you can still go home to your country and live a free life. If you stay here and you're MS-13 and we catch you, you may never know freedom again. Recently, the Trump administration has even suggested sending migrants to Rwanda. Most people would do almost anything not to end up in Rwanda. That $1,000 in plane ticket is sure looking better and better, isn't it? The calculus is simple. Get deported, get arrested, sit in a detention center next to some guy named El Churro until you get deported to El Salvador or Rwanda, and maybe get a free sandwich with no mustard. Or self-deport. Free flight, $1,000 in spending cash, and no one takes your fingerprints. Just think of it like a carnival cruise without the boat and water and karaoke. Over 5,000 people used the program just this April. That's more than I saw ever in attendance at a Biden rally. And at least the self-deporters know where they're going. That's inhumane. That's cruel. Cruel? Trump gave them options. Biden and Harris invited millions of people into the clutches of human traffickers. And it's not like Trump is locking the door behind these folks. He's just saying, hey, if you want to come here, get in line, learn English, do it legally, and maybe don't use a fake social security number from a dead guy in Boise. And if you are here illegally and breaking the law, just know that Trump's Justice Department will be all over you like white on rice. Just today, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced the largest fentanyl bust in American history that took down about half a dozen Sinaloa cartel members.
DEA seized 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including an astounding approximately 3 million fentanyl pills. 6 of these individuals were here illegally. That won't shock you.
At the end of the day, Trump's plan is simple. Protect the border, reward those who follow the rules, and give those who didn't a chance to leave with dignity and some pocket change. It's called America First, and if you don't like it, you can self-deport too. Today in the halls of Congress, President Trump's signature legislation is being crafted and debated. The House Homeland Security Committee is a major piece of this policy agenda. Arizona Congressman Eli Crane serves on the Homeland Security Committee, and he joins me now. Representative Crane, DHS is offering people $1,000 to self-deport. What do you think of the idea?
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me on. I think it's brilliant, man. When you look at, how much the Trump administration is offering and what it would actually save the American taxpayer when you look at how much money actually goes into trying to deport an illegal alien. I think the number is like $17,000 as opposed to under this new plan, it would be roughly, a couple $1,000s. So I think it's wise, and I'm not surprised to see, an administration that's led by a businessman proposing such common sense solutions.
Do you think the images of criminal gang members arriving in Sacat prison in El Salvador send a message to illegal alien criminals in the United States that self-deportation is the best option for them?
I think so, Matt. I love to see it. I can't believe how many of the Democrats are melting down about this, or how many judges are trying to stop President Trump from exercising his constitutional powers and also doing what the American people elected him to do.
So Democrats allowed these open border policies to bring upwards of 20 million people into the country. It seems that what they want are 20 million trials, like individual, judicial exercises on each of these folks, which is totally unfeasible. Like, what do you think is the appropriate amount of due process before an illegal alien has to go to their home country?
Well, I just think it's interesting, Matt, that many of these folks who jumped the line to get in here while, millions of people are trying to go through the process legally now want, due process on their way out. And, I think that they should be put on a plane and sent back home. That's what I think.
So you're on the House Homeland Security Committee. What do you think is the best thing in legislation that your committee is contributing to the big, beautiful bill in the reconciliation process?
Well, Matt, as you know, this has been a hallmark of the president during Trump 1, Trump 2, to make sure we not only secure our border, but to get folks out of here that are criminals and shouldn't be here in the first place out of the country. And so we just passed out of Homeland Security last week during markup, a very robust bill that would not only, finish securing the wall, but train new Border Patrol agents, provide a lot of technology at our ports of entry, and to deal with drones and all the other things that our Border Patrol agents are facing. And so, I'm really happy about the work that the Homeland Security Committee has done, and I think it's going to keep a lot of Americans safe.
The border is, of course, just one part of Homeland Security. There's also network security, a lot of resilience work that DHS performs. Some of that has been deemed duplicative. Some of the network security got converted into censorship. Will your committee be recommending any spending reductions in places like CISA, where a virtuous mission was converted into something very dark and devious and hostile to free speech?
Well, we really haven't crossed that bridge yet, Matt, but I won't be surprised. Keep in mind, though, as you know, that the new president has installed his leadership over these agencies, and I don't think you're going to see the same type of censorship under this administration that you saw under the last one. So that's one of the many great things about re-electing President Donald J. Trump.
I think that the average American looks at the Doge experience and is probably most offended by the way USAID spent money on frivolities, on things that were hostile to American and Western interests. You were the very first congressman leading the fight to cut USAID funding. I think over 140 Republicans voted against your amendment to reduce funding for USAID. In this big, beautiful bill, now that USAID has been exposed through Doge, will there be reductions in funding in that type of foreign aid?
You know, I'm hoping there will be, Matt. I believe that that's where the conference is headed on this. You know, we haven't worked out all the details on this. Obviously, we know we're not going to get everything that we want because we're working under the paradigm of one big, beautiful bill. But, you know, I'll be shocked if my conference, after seeing not only, you know, what you and I saw when we were leading the efforts to defund and USAID by about 50% last Congress, but now that Doge has gone through and done, you know, a more forensic pass on USAID in that agency, I would be shocked if any Republicans, you know, tried to say that.
Well, let's hope that this has been at least a revealing experience for them. Congressman Crane, you know foreign affairs well. You served in the United States Navy as a Navy SEAL. I want to play President Trump's comments on the latest in Yemen and get your reaction. Let's play President Trump.
The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis. Effective immediately.
Your reaction, Congressman?
Well, I think it's one more example of peace through strength, Matt. I mean, you know, the president has done a great job keeping us out of wars, as you know, even though many of his critics said that it would be the exact opposite. But he's shown once again that he doesn't play games. And if you mess with the United States of America, you know, there will be pain inflicted upon you. And that's one thing I love about what the president is doing. I love, you know, the fact that he installed Pete Hegseth, you know, somebody who's actually been in combat, led troops, has the respect of troops. You're seeing our recruiting numbers go up. And I think, once again, the big picture here is that the United States is being, once again, respected around the world, where you could get the Houthis, of all people, to say something like that after they've been, you know, missiling and attacking our ships now for years.
Yeah, they indeed have. And it sort of shows that the over-the-horizon counterterrorism strategy can work. Like, people who advocated for that were deeply criticized, but here we didn't have to go occupy Yemen. We didn't have to become the block captain of Yemen. We were able to reset deterrence, and then when deterrence is reset, we don't move in to these countries. We actually try to create a workable environment for our interests and our people to be protected. And I agree with you. I think that's a good landing spot for this stage. And probably there are some who are thirsting for war with Iran, who would love us to be in a forever volley with the Houthis, and God forbid Americans were killed. That would draw us into an escalatory environment in the Middle East. But your assessment seems very correct there. So I've spent a lot of time in your district, Congressman Crane, with you, with your voters. They're as good as they get anywhere in the country. When this big, beautiful bill is law, what do you think is in that bill that you're most, whether it's the tax features, or the dereg, or the spending cuts, or border, what do you think is the thing in that bill that you're going to be talking about to those salt of the earth voters in Arizona?
Well, thanks again, Matt. You've always been great at coming out to my district and meeting, you know, some of our great constituents. I think the tax breaks and the continuation of that tax policy is really going to help a lot of our constituents. You know, I also think that they're very interested in hoping that we actually, you know, start to turn this fiscal calamity from going off the fiscal cliff and with some budget cuts, you know, and they're very excited about the Doge efforts, and they want to see us do a better job of actually, you know, codifying into law many of the president's executive orders. And so I think, you know, the general buzz that I get from Arizonans is that they're very excited about this big, beautiful bill. I think they're realistic. They understand that we're not going to get everything that we want, but they know that every agency up here is full of fraud, waste, and abuse, and they're tired of their tax dollars going to it. And so, they're very supportive in us trying to get some cuts, give them some tax relief, fund our military, and also secure that southern border. And I think, this reconciliation product is going to do that and a lot more.
Final question for you, Congressman. It's a political question about your home state of Arizona. President Trump won Arizona by 7 points, and yet you have a Democrat governor, you have 2 Democrat senators. It's a real paradox, and you have an important governor election coming up in 2026. President Trump has endorsed 2 candidates in that race, Congressman Andy Biggs, who you and I both know well, and also Karen Taylor Robson. Whenever you see a circumstance where President Trump is way out front, national Republicans are way out front, but at the state level and in statewide elections, there's issues. It's usually emerging out of conflict and wedging within the party infrastructure in that state. Are you concerned that a combative, bloody, expensive primary between Andy Biggs and Karen Taylor Robson could strengthen the position of the incumbent Democrat governor, Katie Hobbs? And do you think there's a possibility with Andy Biggs just so far out in the lead that those two might be able to join forces in some way and take on the Democrats in your home state?
I think it's possible, Matt, and I would like to see some type of resolution like that. Every poll that I have seen shows Andy Biggs way out in the lead. He has my full and total endorsement. When you look at his background, he was the president of the state Senate. He was the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus up here. He's, one of the most conservative members of Congress. I think he's one of the best fighters in Congress. So for me, this is a really easy decision on, who to get behind. And I'm not trying to throw any shade, at Karen Taylor Robson. I'm just saying this is a really easy decision for me. And based on the polling I've seen, it's an easy choice for a lot of Arizonans as well. And so I would love to see, some type of reconciliation, and solution with those two, so we don't have some messy primary that's, depletes whoever comes out of it and their inability to win that seat back for the folks of Arizona who desperately need strong leadership and somebody who's fiscally responsible and somebody who's also willing to stand up to the political elites in this country.
Congressman Eli Crane of Arizona, one of the very best fighting for all of us on Capitol Hill. Thanks as always for joining me on the program.
Thanks, brother.